You're watching First Alert 7 News at 9 on the CW and live on YouTube with Lauren Munt and weather with Tom Tiefertiller.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for First Alert 7 News on the CW, and thanks for joining us live on our YouTube. I'm Lauren Munt, and in our top story tonight, we're breaking down how the Ector County Sheriff's Office rescued a 6-year-old boy after he was kidnapped. Early Saturday morning, you might have gotten the Amber Alert for Maximilius Dominguez. Well, thanks to a tip from that Amber Alert, 2 people were arrested and Maximilius is safe. So what are the procedures for officially issuing an Amber Alert? Well, according to ECSO investigators, the process is pretty simple. The Sheriff's Office sends a PDF to the Texas Department of Public Safety, and they issue the alert.
It's extremely important, especially in situations like we had on Saturday. I mean, we were contacted as soon as it was sent out by multiple agencies. I mean, we're very thankful for that. The public also was made aware. So we actually got a tip from somebody and were able to make contact with the vehicle involved.
The possibility of the suspect and victim fleeing to another state played a huge part in this weekend's Amber Alert, which luckily that didn't happen. Marscal and Dominguez, Max's biological mother and father, were both arrested for kidnapping. And according to jail records, they're being held on a $50,000 bond. Continuing to track crime, police detained 3 teenagers outside of Crane High School this morning after they were found standing on the sidewalk and attempting to hide their faces. Police say none of them are students of Crane ISD, and they added that there was no danger to students or staff, and the 3 people were detained out of an abundance of caution. Now CPD is investigating why the 3 were even in the area. We'll of course update you as we learn more. Congressman Tony Gonzalez has introduced the Protect the Permian Basin Act in the U.S. House of Representatives. It'll increase criminal penalties for stealing, transporting, and selling oil and oil field-related equipment, and expand federal resources to law enforcement agencies in order to target oil theft, whether that's stealing oil or the equipment that the companies use in the oil field. The act comes as oil field thefts have increased in recent months. Across the state, after reports of Venezuelan gang members in El Paso, someone who runs a migrant shelter there is speaking out about whether there have been issues with the gang. Heriberto Perez has more.
As it specifically relates to the Opportunity Center for the Homeless, we have had no specific issues.
Opportunity Center Deputy Director John Martin also told me federal funders and partners have trained organizations on both sides of the border regarding Tren de Aragua. He says his shelter knows how to identify the individuals who may be problematic for them, but they also deal with conflicts every day.
I'm going to be quite honest with you. When you look at the men's shelter, we work with 100 men a night. Okay, you're going to have conflict.
He says staff has to react and be able to de-escalate any type of confrontations. Even though the Opportunity Center has not had problems with Tren de Aragua members, they see conflict with migrants or the homeless population often.
But the direct answer to your question is that we've seen no specific incidents that we would say is related to a gang. Now, that's not to say that we haven't had an individual within our building, but again, we focus on people.
Governor Abbott has announced today that he's rewarding $5,000 to anyone who can provide information that leads to the identification and the arrest of members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. To be eligible for the award, you must submit information through the Texas Crime Stoppers hotline or submit a tip online through the Texas Department of Public Safety. Residents in Midland County can rejoice because West County Road 130 is now complete. It's a new connection between South County Road 1232 and South County Road 1210. Constructors of the road say that they ran into some issues because of the terrain and the drainage, but the road was built with 12 inches of base and 3 inches of asphalt. But now, after 8 months of work, this road is finally complete.
So we know it's going to be a very strong road to be able to help with the economic development out in this area. And again, just to have an opportunity for people to communicate when it comes to roads from one side of town to the other.
The 2 miles of new roadway cost around $2 million to make. We're going to take a pause now and talk your weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller. Tom, it's finally feeling like fall. I've got the sweater on today. Am I going to get to keep wearing my sweater for the rest of the week?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, till this weekend, whereas we're going to see things steadily start to warm up, but it is a beautiful evening out there. with some great conditions right now. Satellite and radar view, not a lot happening as the thunder showers have thinned out across most areas, but we are seeing higher humidity levels, so some of that patchy fog is going to build back in towards the early morning hours today. Look at the temperatures. They were fantastic. Topped out at 77 out at the Midland National Air and Spaceport, 80s across the Trans-Pecos, and 87 in the Presidio area. So again, it's almost a touch of fall out there this evening as temperatures are now at 70 degrees out at the Midland National Air and Spaceport. So again, some cooler stuff across the area as humidity levels again are coming up a little bit. We're looking at those around 60 to 70%. So keeping a little bit of fog in the forecast first thing in the morning as temperatures settle into the lower 60s. And tomorrow about a 10-degree warm up on the way. But another cold front will be arriving, and that's going to keep temperatures out of the 90s. We'll talk about that early peak at the weekend here in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Tom. We're going to talk some political news now. The first of two forums featuring candidates for the Midland ISD School Board and the Midland City Council were happening today and tomorrow. Tonight is the Midland ISD School Board Candidates Forum that happened from 7 to 8 at the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center. First Alert 7's Isabella Garriga was at that forum, and she'll have a full recap for us at 10 o'clock tonight. And the Midland City Council Candidates Forum, that'll be tomorrow, Tuesday the 24th. This forum will also take place at the MLK Jr. Community Center, and it starts at 7 o'clock as well. Both of these forums serve as a way for community members to directly hear from the candidates about their platforms and their vision for Midland. This isn't the last time the candidates will be together for Midland or Odessa. First Alert 7 and Basin PBS are partnering to bring you candidate debates live throughout the month of October. Our very own Mary Kate Hamilton will moderate the debates between all MISD School Board candidates, Midland City Council candidates, Odessa City Council candidates, Odessa mayors, and Midland County commissioners. Those will all be airing live at 7 p.m. on KWWT My 30 on the dates that you see right there on your screen. And the Salvation Army is holding their second annual Fall Resource Fair this Thursday in Midland after the positive response from the fair last year. Midland Health Services is giving out free flu and COVID shots, and they're also offering free STD tests. 46 nonprofit organizations will be present to provide the community with information and services. This year's fair will also have organizations that weren't present last year.
The idea behind a resource fair is just to get as many nonprofits together in one location as you can. We'll have a lot of the different organizations that work with low-income people. So I encourage anyone that needs a little assistance to come out.
Last year, 200 people attended, and they're hoping to double that number this year. So if you're interested in going, the fair will run from 10 to 1 at 600 East Wall Street this Thursday. And throughout the last month, First Alert 7 has been asking you, our viewers, to donate jars of peanut butter for Hunger Action Month. But let's talk a little bit more about the health benefits and how you can get those same benefits even with a peanut allergy. Now, peanuts contain niacin, which can help lower the risk of memory loss, magnesium, which can help reduce the risk of fractures, and vitamin E, biotin, and copper. On top of all of those, peanut butter has a minimum shelf life of 3 months once a jar is opened, and it can last up to 2 years.
So kind of our goal with peanut butter is normally to find something that's shelf stable, that people can really make easily into a meal, that's a protein source, has some carbs and some fat in there as well.
But according to the American Academy of Allergy, 6 million people in America have a peanut allergy. So how do they get those nutrients? Well, substitutes like beans, chickpeas, or any type of food butter are really great alternatives.
Which means that they have several different nutrients in there. They've got carbohydrates, protein, fat. So per calorie, there's a lot of nutrition. A lot of those also have several vitamins and minerals in them too.
So yes, we've been asking you to donate jars of peanut butter, but we're also encouraging you to donate alternatives to the West Texas Food Bank. Going back to that peanut butter, bring it to the mall. The 4th First Alert 7 peanut butter drive for the West Texas Food Bank is this Thursday. You can drop off peanut butter to the First Alert 7 studios in Music City Mall or at either of the West Texas Food Bank locations in Midland or Odessa. Talking some health headlines now, Midland Memorial Hospital is celebrating their 13th Team Daisy Award. The Daisy Award, for those of you who don't know, is a way to celebrate healthcare workers that go above and beyond. While there are monthly Daisy Awards, the Team Daisy Award is a bit of a big deal. That's because it's only given out once a year. And this year, MMH saw 26 different people that were nominated for it. It's a way to recognize the tough work that the hospital staff go through each and every day.
I've seen nurses really tear up from this. Is extremely meaningful. It changes the whole trajectory sometimes of their career because someone has seen them and someone has recognized them going above and beyond for either a patient or for a colleague.
Now, anyone can nominate anyone for the Daisy Award. So if you'd like to nominate a healthcare worker who made an impact on you, you can visit Midland Memorial's health website. And coming up, we're talking some political news with a look at how each candidate plans to attack the ongoing border crisis. The full story is up next. The number of people trying to migrate into the United States across the southern border has hit historic levels the last several years. Our Washington correspondent Josh Roltenberg has more on the current state of affairs and how each candidate is promising to solve the problem.
New data from U.S. Customs and Border Protection shows encounters with migrants between points of entry dropped 68% in August from a year ago. A CBP official tells me the decrease has made the situation at the southern border more manageable. But that progress has not stopped former President Donald Trump from slamming President Joe Biden's policies and promising to undo them all if reelected.
I will not let these killers and criminals into our country. The Republican platform promises to launch the largest deportation operation in the history of our country.
According to a recent Scripps News Ipsos survey, most Americans would support mass deportations, while the nonprofit organization Global Refuge says similar past efforts were horrific.
You saw, U.S. citizens get rounded up and accidentally deported. You saw families that were completely devastated by family separation.
Blue-collar employers would also lose thousands of workers. Conservatives say the solution is expanding access to work visas.
What I think is really destructive to this, the fabric of the country, is to do it on the side, around the law, to say, well, we basically have to live with illegal immigration or else, the food doesn't get cooked and the lawns don't get mowed.
If elected president, Vice President Kamala Harris wants to revive and sign the bipartisan Senate bill addressing border security.
The Border Patrol endorsed it, but Donald Trump believes a border deal would hurt his campaign. So he ordered his allies in Congress to kill the deal. Well, I refuse to play politics with our security.
The bipartisan bill was the first significant attempt at immigration reform in more than a decade.
It did put in place some real reforms that recognize that we are a nation of immigrants, but we're also a nation of laws.
This was a Trojan horse that would really have just locked into law practices that are currently illegal and really destructive.
A Monmouth University poll found most voters trust Trump more than Harris to handle immigration. In Washington, I'm Josh Roltenberg.
Well, we are looking at a quiet evening. It looks like more quiet weather on the way, but another front will keep us out of the 90s. We'll talk more about that coming up next.
Now, from the First Alert 7 Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, we are going to be looking at some relatively quiet conditions here over the next couple of days. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather makers and show you that we are dealing with, for the most part, pretty quiet conditions out there across the area. It looks like we're going to see this next disturbance start to roll down, and that is going to bring another front through the area as we move in towards the middle part of the week, and that's going to keep us out of the 90s, but it doesn't look like too much in the way of rain chances. Things will dry out by then. We have a little Gulf moisture hanging on in the vicinity of that front. It's going to move back in across the Permian Basin tonight. Patch or two of fog in the forecast, but the showers, thunder showers, are going to stay well to our south and southeast as this front. Have it drawn on here as a cold front. It's kind of a stationary front. It really hadn't moved too much when we were talking about it this afternoon. So it's going to pull up stationary and really kind of serve as a focus for a few scattered showers and thunder showers to develop tomorrow. As temperatures across the state, quite a contrast with the front. Behind it, the 70s, right at 80 in Lubbock. Ahead of it, mid 90s out there. So we were seeing some pretty drastically different temperatures across the state of Texas. Now, the futurecast is showing, for the most part, pretty quiet conditions. Some isolated showers, thunder showers by the afternoon across portions of Brewster, Presidio County into the lower Trans-Pecos, as that, again, will develop along the front and move off to the south and southeast. Here's the next front. You can see the clouds associated with it moving in early on Wednesday morning. Any showers, thunderstorms with it will be well off to our east. So as it moves down into the Big Bend area, we could see a few scattered showers, thunder showers with it, but a pretty quiet forecast, though, across the Permian Basin all the way through the middle part of the week. Rest of tonight, again, we're going to keep a patch or two of fog in the forecast, maybe some low clouds, eastern, southeastern Permian Basin. From a line from Big Spring to the Midland, Odessa area down towards Fort Stockton areas south and east. Lows down in the lower 60s overnight tonight, so very nice. About 10 degrees warmer tomorrow. Under mostly sunny skies in our forecast, and this is really the trend for the rest of the week into the mid to lower 80s for afternoon highs, nighttime lows. Will be very nice to wake up to, all the way down to 59 by Friday morning. Some 90s try to come back in the forecast on Sunday before another weak front starts to roll in middle part of next week, but not too bullish on rain chances anytime soon.
Up next here at 9, the Midland Rockhounds take a series lead in the Texas League Championships. Plus, the Permian Panthers and the Odessa Broncos, they're coming off with big wins. We'll discuss more in your local sports. That's coming up after the break. September is a big month for football, but also for minor league playoff baseball. The Midland Rockhounds had Game 1 of the Texas League Championship Series yesterday, and they didn't just show up. They made sure to show out. It was a back-and-forth battle between the Rockhounds and the Arkansas Travelers yesterday. Arkansas got off to a 5-1 lead in the second inning, but the Rockhounds outscored them 9-3 the rest of the way as they got the win 10-8. Midland leads the series 1-0 and looks to claim their first Texas League championship since 2017. Turning to some high school football, the Permian Panthers are still undefeated after Friday's win against Amarillo Tascosa. The Permian offense has scored more than 40 points in each of the last 3 games, but Permian has not won a game by more than 1 score this season. Head coach Jeff Ellison is happy with the work that his team has done through the first 4 games and thinks that these hard tests are preparing his team well for the second half of the season.
Proud of our guys, proud of our coaches and our players. We've had been battle tested throughout this non-district schedule. Great team, Tascosa Friday night, so I was proud to come out. Our guys were proud to come out with the win. And all these games that we've had, and that's the end game with non-district, is to get us ready for district, and I think those up to this point has done that.
Next up for the Panthers, they host the Carver Birmingham Rams coming out of Alabama. Across town, the Broncos got the win last Thursday over the Monterey Plaismen, 57-49. This was the 3rd straight game that quarterback Mikey Cota threw for 400 yards or more. Andrew Rodriguez, Bo Rodriguez, Kobe Baldonado, and Santi Medrano each received 4 Each received 100 yards or more during Thursday's game. The biggest concern for head coach Eric Hartman is defense, which he hopes to adjust leading into Saturday's game against Ellison.
Overall, offense was doing a great job, and we knew we just kept scoring, and it was good. So when you have 4 receivers that catch over 100 yards, I mean, it's going to be tough to stop. We've had some problems on the defensive side, but it's been injury little problems that have affected that, and we'll make some adjustments, and hopefully you'll see that this week.
Turning to some college football, it was a bit of a tough weekend for UTPB. The Falcons lost their first conference game in the Chris McCulloch era, but he's not worried about it. He wants his team to feel the urgency going forward, especially if they want to be back-to-back Lone Star Conference champions.
I've tried to tell the guys this, and I think they understand it now. I think everybody sees it. When we play somebody, especially in Lone Star Conference play, we're everybody's Super Bowl, right? Coming off the year we had last year, everybody wants to knock us off. So they're going to play their best game all year is always going to be against us, and it's going to happen week after week coming up.
The Falcons will hit the road to face Midwestern State this Saturday with kickoff scheduled for 7 o'clock. Still ahead, we've got one last look at your weather forecast. That's coming up after this quick break.
Well, before we go, we want to check that First Alert 7 10-day forecast once again and show you another front's on the way late tomorrow into Wednesday. It's going to keep temperatures into the mid to lower 80s this week, so some nice temperatures there, but it's these mornings, Lauren, that are going to be fantastic.
They're so cold. Clearly I'm ready for it with my sweater already.
59 Friday morning is going to be something else, and it's going to continue into the weekend, so we have some dry, seasonable days on the way.
It's beautiful.
It
I'm going
is.
to sit outside with my coffee and just feel the cold air before we get back to the 90
That's
degrees,
right.
but I'm not ready for it.
I am ready for October and see the big change.
Me too. Thanks for joining us tonight for First Alert 7 News at 9. We've got more news coming up tonight at 10.